23 minutes before 8. We're very pleased to welcome to the studio Heston Blumenthal, who's in town to plug his Christmas range available exclusively at Coles. Heston, thanks for coming in.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Do you realise that you have created a black market? Are you aware of this phenomenon? That is eBay, and that is your hidden orange Christmas pudding is up on eBay.
What do they go for now?
$35 Aussie. Yeah. So what's that about? £20?
Yeah,
£20.
20
quid.
So it's 50 to 70% up on the normal retail price. What happened in the UK when we first did the puddings? They went crazy because we could only produce about 30,000 of them because of crystallised orange, and they went up to about £1,000.
Wow.
And there was Waitrose, the supermarket we did it with, they opened a new store and two women had a fist fight.
So how do you control the quality of each individual Christmas pudding with the orange?
What happens is the build up on the development side of things. We look at the ability of the company that's making the pudding on that scale to be able to produce it day in, day out.
And you keep an eye on that.
Yes.
Have you tried to work out a way to turn a fist fight into a meal?
No, but I did love Boris Johnson when he did the. Do you ever see that? He did when he did this.
We know he's the mayor of London, but what's
a press conference to the world?
Yeah,
talking about turning a fist fight into a meal. He said he was talking about ping pong.
That's right. Yeah, right. Which is called whiff waff.
In fact, he said the French they look at a dining table and they see food.
Yeah.
The British look at a dining table and they see whiff waff.
Yeah, ping pong. How come so many of the world's celebrity chefs are English?
I think it's only because Britain has led the way in cooking shows, and it's nothing to do with the quality of the chefs themselves. So people like Jamie's brilliant. Jamie really believes in what he does, and I was going to talk about somebody else, which I won't talk about because it's been in the papers recently. Yeah. So who is absolutely lovely, beautiful woman. So I think it's really to do with the actual programming itself as opposed to the chefs.
You were self-taught, is that right?
Yeah, my first paid job as a chef was opening the Fat Duck, 1995.
That's your own restaurant?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It was a flipping nightmare.
But you must have known something about cooking prior to opening the Fat Duck.
Oh, yeah, I did. So I went to a restaurant when I was about 15, 16, my folks in France, and I had this experience that changed my life. And then I got obsessed with the great chefs of France. So I read everything from sauce making to soufflés, from ice cream to butchery. And then in the mid-'80s, I read a book written by an American guy called Harold McGee about the science of cooking. Yeah. And he said brownie meat doesn't keep in the juices. And that flew in the face of everything I'd learned. Yeah. So from that moment, I was never inquisitive before that. But from that moment, I just questioned everything.
We once interviewed Kelly Slater, the 10-time world champion surfer, and asked him what he said, you've travelled the world, what's your favourite restaurant? He nominated a restaurant in a town called Bidart in France. I don't think it's a particularly famous place, but it's a seafood restaurant. What's your favourite place to eat? I mean, is it the El Bulais and the Nomas, or is it somewhere simpler than that?
No, I think, you know what, one of the most amazing things about food, it's so rooted in time and place. So if you think about the most amazing meals you've ever had, the food will be good, but it will be about the location, the occasion, the context, and
or how hungry you were.
Yeah. So a kebab after 10 pints in High Wycombe can be one of the best things you've ever eaten in your life.
Do you agree with me that the French cooking has virtually disappeared as high-end, great food, and it's almost translated into London now as being the capital of good restaurants?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think that French cooking still formed the basis of all modern cooking in the Western world today. But if you people have asked a regular question saying what's the best city in the world to eat in. So if you want 3 Michelin-star French food, go to Paris. It's dull and boring. If you want the most purest high-end cooking in the world, go to Tokyo or Kyoto. If you want diversity, great food, comfortable, relaxed and buzzy environment, I would say the 3 of the 5 or 6 best cities. Actually, 4 of them, London, New York Sydney, Melbourne. I would put Melbourne above Sydney, by the way.
Lovely. Nice work.
What do you think of this new fashion of foraging, which they do at Noma in Scandinavia? Do you do any foraging?
Yeah, the thing is, foraging has been going on for years, but absolute years. There's a guy called Michel Bryan in France who's a marathon runner. So when he was training for his marathon, he'd run over the hills and he'd collect bushes and flowers. And do you remember that Tom Hanks? What was it called? Big.
Yeah.
He played the big kid, and there was a scene when he walks into a room and sort of put it's almost not tasting. It's
Forrest
let's
Gump.
put food in my mouth, and I think that the whole foraging thing. We were in Margaret River last week for a most amazing food event, beautiful setting, and they are some of the key people there. There's a guy called Adrian Gill, A.A. Gill, who's probably the most powerful food critic in Britain.
Gordon Ramsay kicked him out once.
He did, because he criticised his restaurant. So Adrian said, foraging, what do you think about foraging? He said, you go for a long walk and somebody says, here, taste this. It tastes like mint, but not as good.
We know that you've got to go in 1 minute and 9 seconds.
Oh, can I stay for a bit longer?
Reports abound that you're opening a restaurant in Australia. How likely is that, and will it be Melbourne?
I would say... You've really put me on the spot here. I would say, so we're opening a restaurant in Heathrow next June. It's pretty likely that the next restaurant we open after that will be in Australia.
Right.
And Melbourne would be one of the main targets.
Very, very pleased to hear it. We know that you've done an exclusive range for Coles. What can we buy apart from the hidden orange on eBay?
At the moment, there's a figgy pudding. So it's similar to the orange pudding, but inside think about Christmas pudding meets sticky toffee pudding. So you've got like this fudgy caramel sauce. And there's also these open like mince pie tarts with cinnamon and molasses sugar pastry, which is fantastic.
Very nice to make your acquaintance. We're going to honour the agreement we made with your entourage outside to let you go at 7:45. And when you get on that plane at 3 o'clock this afternoon, breathe out and relax.
Guys, thank you. Thanks for having me on.